Hey guys, hope your days are going great. Mine is. And today I wanted to talk about presence. Um, and the reason being is because I feel as if presence is talked a lot about, and by a lot of people, by a lot of different sources, but it's rarely ever given a good definition. And because of that, the practicality of it is lost, in my opinion, in a lot of scenarios. So, kind of diving right in today. Um, Defining presence is actually super easy, and it's very similar to mindfulness. The concept of mindfulness, that's circulated a lot. But the reason that I would choose to use the word presence as opposed to mindfulness is, and this is actually from Eckhart Tolle. He's the one who I'm taking this from and not giving to you. Is mindfulness implies that the mind is full. And that's really kind of the opposite of where you're trying to head. So presence is being in the moment, or having your awareness, being aware of the moment in the now. And that includes, like, if you were to close your eyes and hold your hands in front of you, you can feel your hands. You are present, you are aware of them. And that type of awareness can be fostered throughout the entire body, but it can also be fostered across your senses. So you can be aware of your sight and your sound and your feeling and the sense of the taste. Like, you can be aware of your tongue, but that's, for me, more of like along the feeling line of things. And aware of being in a moment. Now, why? I mean, that seems obvious, right? It's like, all right, yeah, you're present, right? But the real delineation between being present and not exists because of the mind. So a lot of people, myself included, have the tendency to lose your presence in favor of what the mind's demanding that you do, right? So an example of that is your mind wants a problem to consider or to analyze, or you need something that you have something you need to plan, or you have a memory that you like reminiscing in. All of these things, they're distractions that pull your awareness away from presence to something else. Now, I believe the reason that pulling your awareness away from the present moment is dangerous is twofold. The first is because you experience your life from the point of view, from the perspective of the present. So you're grounded in the present. So even though, let's just assume the future's coming and assume the past happened, even though you can take your awareness and pull it back to those moments, you're grounded in the present moment. So you experience life from the point of view of the present. And so figuring out a way to cultivate peace and contentness with the present is extremely important. Because let's say you're planning a party and you're planning it Monday and the party's Friday. And so, while you're planning it for a couple hours, you're living in the future, whatever. And then all week, you're living in the future. You're thinking about the party. I can't wait for the party. Can't wait for the party. And then the party gets here. And for that 5-6 hour period, you're like totally in the present. You're totally in the now. You're enjoying the party. It's just like, oh, this is great. This is finally what I want to be doing. Well, in that entire week, you are only in the present for that 5-6 hours. You, in a sense, weren't enjoying the ride up until that peak of the ride. And by cultivating presence, you can be content and at peace with all of the moments coming up to then as well, which is really, really important. Which is super important. So that's the first reason that it's dangerous, because you lose so much time and you forget how to enjoy the moment, unless the moment is perfectly designed by your desire, which most moments aren't going to be that way. So the second reason that it's dangerous is actually because of nature. So if you look at a puppy that comes from a safe, happy environment, that puppy is going moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. It's living moment to moment to moment to moment. It's very unlikely that that puppy is questioning its previous actions or planning out its future actions. The human brain, or less locally, the primate brain, has the ability to run simulations into the future. And that ability was really refined by humanity, by the Homo sapien. Maybe early hominids as well, but it's an extremely useful tool. It's one of the reasons we are so dominant across the world. And one thing that evolution hasn't had time to combat against is getting lost, having your awareness lost in that ability. So getting back to the puppy example, puppies are extremely happy. I love puppies. I'm sure you love puppies. They're cute. They're in the moment. They're just doing puppy things. And they're not lost. They're always in the moment. Versus people, not nearly as happy as a puppy, which is interesting because a person, you, me, we tend to be way more competent at accomplishing our will than a puppy. Yet, we're far less happy in almost all cases. And that's a really interesting observation, and it's due to a lack of presence. It's due to a lack of peace and contentness, total contentness with every current moment. So, due to the fact that people have big brains and strong brains and active brains, and the misconception that a superactive brain is always a good thing, people allow themselves to be sucked into, planning for the future, totally inside of a problem or reminiscing the past, because having an active brain is a good thing. And in many cases, in many regards, it is a good thing, but it's not a good thing when it starts taking away from your experience. And the best example that I can kind of correlate that to is, let's say you have another arm, and this arm's a special arm, it's coming out of your back or something, I don't know. And it always wants to be lifting things. It always needs something to be lifting. Well, let's say it could do so against your will. Like you didn't have control of your arm yet, and it was always lifting things. Well, that would be problematic, and it would be very easy to see why getting that under control would be a good thing. Your brain's no different. Your brain's always demanding something, and like in the example how your arm can do so against your will, your brain has the unique ability to control, and because of that, it's always pulling your attention, and we are just letting it. We're just letting the arm lift things. We're just letting the brain constantly think, and we're never practicing quieting the brain and getting it under control. And that takes away from the balanced state that the rest of nature and the rest of evolutionary history has been in, which has been the moment. It's been instinctual action. It hasn't been planned out or permeative, or you can just call it primate type thought. It's been in the moment, every moment. And so that's the natural state of balance. And that's one of the best reasons to cultivate being in the moment, because it lets you reattain that balance. Balance is exceptionally important, if not critically important, in the pursuit of inner peace. And that's, by the way, the biggest reason that meditating and peace seem to go hand in hand together. It's not because you sitting there and thinking with your eyes closed is going to do anything. It's the opposite. It's practicing the ability to not think. It's practicing the ability to quiet the brain that allows you to find just total and complete contentness and peace inside of whatever the current moment is. And that's obviously exceptionally valuable. So today I wanted to talk about being in the moment and give it a little bit more of a definition than I think a lot of other sources give it, to highlight a little bit about why being in the moment is kind of the more natural and therefore more balanced approach to existence, and the easy pitfall of allowing the mind to take control and suck the awareness this way or that way, and why that happens so often. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.